everyone. Hey, welcome. It's Jackie from Beyond Small Talk. Hi, and welcome. Jackie from Beyond Small Talk every Thursday at the 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Hour, and you are watching Beyond Small Talk. Real women, real conversations, elevating womankind one talk at a time. And again, I'm your co-host, Jackie Janik, women empowerment coach, helping women uncover their purpose and define their own path in the world. Hi, the Guided Healing. Hello, and welcome everyone. Today, I'm really honored to have my co-host. Her name is Shannon Burrows, and her handle is at Shannon M. Burrows. And we're going to be talking about surviving and thriving cancer. So Shannon is a breast cancer survivor, cancer exercise specialist, online coaching courses and community for survivors. I'm really excited and honored to have her on, and we're going to hear more about her story and how you can help the girls out. Let's get her on. So excited. Just a TMI. I'm on my third exam. I'm three. I've had three. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I hope my lighting's okay. I got a window over here, light over here. It's all off.
Yeah, and I love your nice and bright colors. You're from Florida, correct?
Yes. Always break out the lily.
Yeah. Well, I'm up in New York, in Long Island City, and it's going to be like -0. Like, is there a negative? Like, it's so cold. So it's nice to see like bright and sun, and you look like you're bringing the warmth this way. Thank you.
Yes, I do not envy you being in the cold, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a little rough, but I'm so excited to see you, and welcome to Beyond Small Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and share with the world and chat with you and change lives.
Yeah, I think that's what you're doing for sure. And I mean, please share a little bit more about your journey, whatever you feel, you would like to share. I'm really curious on how did it happen? Like what happened? How did you find out and your process through breast cancer?
So I'm a certified personal trainer. So I was doing group training actually, because I really enjoy the group community aspect of being able to, the excitement, the empowerment, the encouragement. And anyway, so I was working, living my dream life, working the best job ever. And I just went for my regular mammogram. Actually, I take that back. That's not exactly how it all started. How it all started was I was having these like feelings of like anxiety, right? Like high blood pressure and anxiety, and for like 6 days in a row. And
Mm.
this is weird. So, but it wouldn't go away. But it was like the hamster wheel of like, okay, why am I feeling like this? Why is I'm not stressed about anything. Like I'm in good shape. I work out. I eat healthy. What on earth is happening to me? So finally, after 6 days, because I truly thought I was going to stroke out and have a heart attack, and good old fashioned insurance, you try to call them and get an appointment in, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, they're like, well, you actually haven't seen your primary doctor. I'm like, right, because I'm healthy and I don't usually go to the doctors. So they're like, well, we can't see you for another month and a half, and I was like, I'll be dead by then.
You're like, girl.
My friend was like, listen, if you want, I'll get you into my doctor. I was like, whatever we need to do, either that or we're going to the ER, because I really thought I was going to stroke out. So I get to the doctor, and sure enough, my blood pressure was 170 over 130. Like I was ER material. And the doctor, he threw me on the EKG table immediately, and he said to me, he's like, well, we're going to need to give you a prescription for high blood pressure and anxiety. And I was like, nope, that's actually not going to happen. I'm not going to put pills and prescriptions into my body. Like, let's find the root of the problem. Like, what is the deal here? So, and being in the health and wellness industry, like that is truly what it comes down to. Like you can change your life, you can change your world, you can change everything. You can reverse chronic diseases by just fueling your body with the proper foods and exercise. That's why they say food is medicine and exercise is medicine, right? So
But it also is like, you know, your body, you knew something. And I think women, and sorry to interrupt your
yeah,
story and sharing, I think that's like such a key learning, is that women, we don't always, one, listen to our body. And two, if a doctor tells us something, we usually don't challenge it, even though you probably, because you're in the health and wellness and you know yourself so well that you're like, oh, heck no. But like, just imagine another woman who is like, I trust this doctor, this is what they're telling me, and let's just throw pills at it, versus, like you said, looking at the root of it. So I just offer every woman listening, like, you know your body,
absolutely,
listen to it, right?
100%. And that's what I really try to, what I try to tell other women and other breast cancer survivors, like, be your own advocate.
Mm,
100% be your own advocate, because like you just said, we know our own body.
yeah.
And what had happened, and then I kind of put all the pieces together as I was going through this, and he, and I said, listen, I said, at that point I was 45 years old. I said, maybe I'm like going through perimenopause or menopause, or
Mm.
I'm like, can you check my hormones? And he was like, sure, I can check your hormones. And I'm, again, being a brand new doctor, he's like, but I'm going to have to do your woman's wellness exam. Well, first of all, creepy, number one. Number two, like, do whatever you need to do, fix me, but I'm not taking pills. And he's like, all right, well, in order to do that, I need to do your woman's wellness exam. I was like, well, that's fine, because my OBGYN doctor had just passed away from brain cancer the month before. Crazy, I know.
Oh,
So anyway, we went through the steps or whatever, and he was like, well, when's the last time that you had a mammogram? And I said, I don't know, whenever the last time I had one was. Turns out it had only been a year. I missed 1 year. That's it. And I went back, and I had already been getting mammograms at this point because I've had, dense tissue. So being 45, this was not going to be my first mammogram. So it's kind of another reason why I have a hard time with insurance to begin with, is I don't think they should put an age on when you should get your first mammogram, because realistically, at the age of 40, that seems a little late in life to get that done, especially now, because I feel like so many more women, unfortunately, that are younger are getting diagnosed.
yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
fair for the insurance company to say, no, you should be a certain age limit. It's like, well, if you have a family history of it, like, take care of it, right? So, and
And that we as women have to fight about it.
right,
Like, I think that's like ridiculous. Like, okay, so they give us one a year, and I'm hoping and encouraging and having you on that women go and do that, because had it after 40, because I knew it, but I was like, oh, well, and I was like, oh, what's wrong with me? And then I went, and you mentioned dense tissue. I didn't even know what that was until this year. I was told that I have dense tissue, and I was like, what is that? So I did some Googling and things like that. I don't think it's something to be concerned about. It's just
yeah,
something that
very,
happens, right? But again, like, nobody's explaining all this to me. I just got a call of like, you have dense tissue, you need to go back. Can you come Monday? And this was on a Friday. I was like, is something wrong?
am I dying?
Am I dying? Like, do I have breast cancer? Like, what happened? Why did you do that? Like, why does, doctors and insurance companies, like, and then I got charged for it, and I had to call back, and I was like, no, this is covered. And they're like, oh, my mistake. But some women would just pay it just to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I owe it. I'm
Well,
sorry, keep
and that's
going.
the
Yeah.
thing too, because, like you say, women don't know, they don't do their own research.
Yeah.
They're not their own advocate, and that's the frustrating thing, and that's what I really, really, really try to drive home, of being your own advocate. And don't take just because a doctor said something at face value. Like, you have to remember, doctors go to school for medicine. That's what they go to school for. They go to school, if there is a problem, here's your symptoms, here's your solution, this is a prescription. And of course, and if there's any doctors listening, they probably won't be my friend, but it's bottom line is, they all play in the same sandbox together, right? Like, big
Hmm.
pharma, doctors, like, that's what they go to school for. They don't go to school for nutrition, they don't go to school for exercise. And those are the main things. And you get really lucky when you can find doctors that, will say, hey, let's change up your diet, or let's change up, whatever your normal routines are. But anyway, so back to,
And also, that's why it's important. I see the Latina health coach just joined, and she speaks about, the type of food that she was on Beyond Small Talk season 1 as well. And I love that she shares all this food that to nurture your body. So I also encourage women that, yes, you could have a regular doctor, but also to research and think about having health coaches or having women in the health and wellness that studied nutrition, studied food intake, study exercise and movement and what does it do to your body, because it sounds like, and I'm sure you're going to tell us more, that it's more than just a pill to take to help recover from and thrive and survive breast cancer, right?
Right. So yeah, absolutely 100%. Nutrition is key. You really need to do your research. Just educate yourself, really, and that's what I try to do. My whole mission is to educate, empower, and inspire other breast cancer survivors to, really help them through their journey from their diagnosis and beyond through support, exercise, and healthy living. Right? That's what it comes down to. So in regards to, I did my mammogram, and it came back abnormal. So then I had to do, but it was like that moment, like when you're in there getting your mammogram. And you're like, okay, whatever. And then you go in again because they tell you have to come back again. And it's that awkward silence of like.
And while she was doing it, I wanted to ask her questions, but the tech doesn't tell you anything, right?
And I don't want that awkward dead silence. Not only that, I'm trying to look at the screen, and not that I know what I'm looking at, but I'm just like, I'm going to do something of this. I am good. I know what's happening here. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's taking forever. And I'm like, so what's going on? And she's like, oh, I'm just looking. I was like, okay. Are you seeing anything? And anyway, so it was kind of that. And then it was can you please go have a seat in the hallway? And I'm like, oh, for the love of God. I'm like, that's you, because I had gone through in vitro to have my daughter in vitro fertilization, and I lost her twin. And how I found out I lost her twin was going in for my ultrasound, and they had said, last appointment today, can you please have a seat in the hallway? Doctor needs to talk to you. I'm like, the doctor needs to see me. This is not good.
I've had one of those too. My daughter had lots of issues, and I got one of those. And I also knew I got a different folder, like your information. I remember the color too, as a blue folder, and that meant not too good. Everybody else, I remember, had yellow or green, and for some reason they were all smiles. But when I was sitting I just how do you you just remember these certain times of your life, right? So now it's like, can you sit, and the doctor's coming, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Not me.
Exactly. This is not gonna end.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking, right?
Exactly. So and I want to go back to being in tune with your body too, because what I realized when I was sitting there thinking, after he was telling me that he was going to put me on these medications and basically sent me home, and I remember thinking, I want you to check my hormones because I'm close to getting my period. And I knew at 45 years old that my hormones were starting to be across the board, right? So, when your estrogen and your progesterone levels drop, they change, elevate, whatever, you go through these different symptoms. Again, this is why I try to tell women, really be your own advocate, do your research, do not automatically just take medications, because the older you get, and if your hormones are out of whack, which clearly I had to go through in vitro, so I already knew they were out of whack, but as your cycle progresses, your progesterone level drops, which can give you the same feelings of what I had, high blood pressure and anxiety, right? You get that. You get your hormones out of whack, and truthfully, if women could just go to their hormones first, have those checked, so many problems could be resolved, because then you can balance your hormones, and you can do that with food or supplements. And then you go ahead, and then from there, you just fuel your body with the food and exercise, obviously. So that's why I really wanted him to check my hormones, is because I kind of wanted a baseline to see where I was at, not knowing that it was going to lead to this. Anyway, so I ended up going for my mammogram, and I had to do a follow-up one. And then from there, I went and got my diagnosis. And in fact, the radiologist called me. I had a biopsy. I take that back. And I had to go for a biopsy. And then, in fact, the radiologist called me. It was a Thursday, July 13th, 2017. And you talk about, exactly where we were, colors, whatever.
Yeah.
Where I was driving my car. My brother had just flown in from Connecticut, and we were driving. We just dropped my daughter off at gymnastics, and we were driving to go to Michael's because he had flown down to surprise my dad for his 75th birthday the next day. So I knew, so I remember I diagnosed the day before my dad's 75th birthday, surprise party. And the radiologist told me over the phone while I was driving. Not even like, hey, are you sitting down? Hey, are you quiet?
Yeah.
Doctor is like, yeah, this is, so and so, blah blah blah, and just want to let you know that your pathology reports came back and you have breast cancer. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, I'm like driving right now,
Oh my God.
right?
Yeah, and it's like, what was the like? What did you feel? Like, what was the first thing?
Is he calling the right person? I'm like, no, 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 not
Just
me.
the right number. Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't have any cancer in my family. Like, definitely not breast cancer or whatever. And yeah, I was really kind of shocked. But my immediate thing was like, okay, we know what the problem is. Let's fix it. What's the solution? Like that. I'm just like like proactive. Like, and I didn't really process it. I wasn't like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, I have breast cancer. Like, now what? I was like, all right, well, good. Now that we know that the problem is, like, what are we gonna do to fix it? And I hung up the phone and my brother was like, so is that how they tell you that you have cancer in Florida? I was like, dude, I'm new to this. What if I know? Apparently, I don't know any different. So
Oh.
yeah, and then my regular doctor called me probably within 10 minutes. And then fast forward, moving forward. So being a fitness professional, immediately I'm thinking, how does this happen? Like, I eat healthy, I exercise regularly, I'm not overweight, so it has to be hormones. And my hormones definitely played a part in it because I knew growing
Mm-hmm.
up that I was going to have in vitro, but I was on birth control. And then you think about like all the foods that we have growing up that nobody really paid attention to while we were growing up. But
Yeah.
it's like an apple tree. You don't just plant a seed and like it grows tomorrow, right? So it's interesting because my oncologist, who I ended up firing, I asked him, I was like, do you think this had anything to do with in vitro? He's like, oh no, that was like 10 years ago. And I was like, you actually, same analogy. I
Just,
said, like, you don't just plant an apple seed and the tree grows like tomorrow. And
yeah.
fast forward, my new oncologist, she was like, absolutely. There's several studies that show, they're tied together. There's not, no, again, big pharma, they're not going to be like, this is going to cause this.
Yeah.
And then the first person that I talked to actually about breast cancer was another survivor who had just gone through a double mastectomy. And she had the same in vitro doctor 1 year prior to me. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
No coincidence. Like something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I find it really interesting that and I get that energy from you. You're like, here's the problem, we're working on the solution, here's the results. Like, but you said like you initially didn't process it. Did that take some time? Or when did you start to process it?
the night before my double mastectomy, which was in
Mm,
September. So imagine July, August, September. Yeah, like 2 months. Like honestly, I was in denial. I legit was in
mm,
denial the entire time because I was like, okay, well, like I didn't feel sick. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel a lump. I didn't feel sick. I knew that hormones were involved. So that's when I really started to dive deeper into researching hormones, the effect that it has on the body, how you can, change and adjust your hormones. So I really tried to, that was my focus. I wasn't focused on like, oh my God, I have breast cancer. Now what? Literally at that point, it was like, okay, well, what are my options?
mm.
So in talking to my medical team, thankfully my general surgeon asked me because I didn't know anything about it, right? You're brand new and you don't know what you don't know. So he is the one that said to me, he's like, hey, would you like to do this Oncotype test? And I was like, I don't even know what that is, but it's a test that you can do, and you have to be a candidate for it. I don't think that everybody can do it.
Mhm.
So you have to ask your doctor if you're a candidate for it, and it helps give you your rate of recurrence. So
Mm.
I knew for me, this was kind of like the final straw for me. I knew I was 45 years old. I was done having kids. I was not breastfeeding. So that was like, I would weigh out my options because my original oncologist was like, oh, you should do a lumpectomy and radiation. I was like, I am not doing radiation. Why would, oh, he's like, and you'll be on tamoxifen. I was like, and that is definitely not happening. So again, like, why are you going to put the side effects for those things like are far worse than anything that I'm even interested in dealing with. So
Yeah.
anyway, my Oncotype test came back super high. It came back at 56 on a scale of like 0 to 100. So it was going to come back. And I was like, nah, chop, chop. So
So then you got a double mastectomy.
I did. And that's
Yeah.
like when a little bit more of reality was setting in because I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't know what was going to
Mm.
happen to my career. I'm in fitness. What's going to happen? Like, I didn't know how long I was going to be laid up. I didn't know that I was not going to have range of motion right away. I didn't know that my chest muscles were going to be completely tight and I was going to be concave with rounded shoulders. I didn't know any of these things, nor did I even think about it. So it's super important for me to really educate other women that are diagnosed with breast cancer that these are real things. These are going to happen.
Yeah.
Whether you're a fitness advocate, a fitness professional, or whatever, the struggle is real because you can't. I mean, you imagine like you're like this first day, like, for hours in surgery, right? And then you're recovering, and you're just like, oh, so like it's horrible. And then you have like your neck that goes forward. It's like the whole kinetic chain, like a lot of things that people just don't think about.
And I find it, super interesting that you're all about community and educating women. And I love that because it's like, where do we find this information? Like if doctors know, so my daughter's autistic, and when I got the diagnosis, it's not like they gave me a book or like anything and it was like, I still remember the moment too. Your daughter's autistic. Okay. Appointment's over.
Right. Have a good
day. Thank you. Yeah. Bye-bye. So it's just like, why does that happen? Two, but I think what I've noticed through just the autism community, that there's no better information than a mother that's been through it. So I'm sure just you sharing and just speaking of it and having your online courses and community, that I'm 100% sure that there's no better information that you could get from anyone else than someone like you. You live through it, you breathe it, you're inspired by it, which I'm getting that feeling for you. So if you're not, please correct me that. No, I just am. I just love your energy. And it just feels like educating women, like, hello, be your own advocate. Like there's other options than, what mainstream it's always done. So I'm getting that a lot lately, especially since last year, COVID, continuing COVID. And in a few weeks, I have another co-host and she talks about alternative birthing options, which I find like blows my mind. Do you remember giving birth? I mean, who doesn't, right?
I do. It was easy.
Oh, did you have, vaginal, drugs, natural?
In fact, I had to be
induced. The same thing.
I had lost the twin, so they had me on blood thinners for the remainder of my pregnancy, so I had to be induced. And although I felt like she was going to drop out of me in a nanosecond, she was not interested in coming into this world. So I actually had to be double induced, and I remember they were like, okay, well, we're going to start pushing. And then the nurse goes, okay, legs up. And I put my legs up. She goes, just kidding, put them down. We need the doctor. I was like, okay, no. Game on. Like, pretty much that was it.
Holy cow. So that was fake. So you didn't have an epidural?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I did. And trust me, I don't think I could do that without it. My sister-in-law did the natural way at home, and God love her, and anybody else that can go through that, No,
yeah, so this girl, her name is Amanda, and I love her. Like, she's the strongest woman I have ever encountered, and she has had 2 babies at home, no drugs, in a pool, like the pool thing.
Yeah.
And her last baby was 9 pounds. And I'm just like, yeah. But what I do like, and like why I bring it up, is that it's kind of like challenging the norms of what you're told or what we've always been told, or this is how women are supposed to do it. And I think it's just drilling in that message of listen to your body, be your own advocate. And if you feel like, tune into your intuition. And if you feel like it's not right for you, then find something that's right for you. Don't let outside forces, because like you said, you had to let go of an oncologist, or because people have opinions. I'm sure you had a lot of them, right? From what was going on,
I'm going to try to yeah, and it's, people need to know, men and women, it's okay to fire your doctors. It's okay. Like, they're just doing their job. They may suck at their job, but they're just doing their job. And I fired my plastic surgeon and my oncologist. So there's that. Sorry, I'm moving around right now. That's really annoying, but I think my lighting is horrible on here, so I do apologize.
No problem.
Sorry. It's horrible.
That's okay.
It is people people to know, women to know that they can, oh, that's much better, don't you think?
Yeah.
Lighting? Okay, thank you. I do think it's really important that women know that, and it's okay. It's okay to take care of you because no one else is going to do it. And if you're
Yeah.
paying, you better make sure that you're working with a team that you feel pretty solid about.
Yeah, and trust them and, trust yourself that you're making the right choices because, again, similar to you, I went to a doctor for my daughter, highly recommended, literally it was $1,200 out of pocket for a 2-hour visit. And, she was in there hysterical crying and he was giving me the grimmest not even diagnosis, grimmest future for her and her face. And I should have listened to her. She literally was there and she was only 3 at the time, but she hated his guts, hated him to the fact that she wouldn't even go into an elevator with a man that looked similar to him. This is how much that
Wow.
I believe like that situation traumatized her. But I was following what I thought I was supposed to do, and trust this doctor because he has this, reputation and he costs a lot of money. So he must be very good, So that's a great message for for other women, what doctors or people you feel comfortable with working, especially in this scenario, your health really is important and it matters. So real quick, so then what did you do for you to move through the process after the double mastectomy? What was your strategy?
Like I had mentioned, yeah, I wasn't sure. Like I said, I wasn't sure how I was going to recover myself. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how I was going to get through anything. And I definitely didn't know how I was going to be able to do my job because how on earth am I going to go? If I can't even move, how am I going to go train clients? How am I going to get out there and help them? And just the simple act of breathing, like pulling on your chest muscles and all of that good stuff. So while I was recovering, I had nothing else to do. So I figured out, how am I going to get through this? So I ended up getting certified as a cancer exercise specialist. And right then, like a little light bulb went off and I was like, that's it. My passion and my purpose literally just collided. Like I was diagnosed with breast cancer for a reason. I was put on this earth to help other women through their journey and understand the importance of cancer and exercise, either to prevent cancer, going through their treatments, and after surgery and getting back into, becoming the best version of themselves or better.
Or better. Oh, I like your perspective on it. And yeah, I just feel it. Like that is your purpose. I feel it. Like I feel you through the phone. And I was like, oh, it's so nice to talk to women like this. So what are some of the recommendations that you do have for women? Say most of my listeners are between 40 and 45. I feel like just kind of like maybe thinking about mammograms or what should I do now, or do you have any recommendations or suggestions?
Well, if you do get diagnosed with breast cancer, the first and foremost is, and I just did a live Q&A on this today on this exact question of like, what do I do now that I'm diagnosed with breast cancer? And that was one of my first podcast episodes I did as well. But I created a 30-something page downloadable free resource guide that literally covers questions to ask once you're diagnosed, questions to ask going through treatment, questions to ask after surgery. And no doctor is going to talk to you about exercise unless you currently, do workout or you exercise or whatever. Like you may ask, okay, well, when can I get back into things? Typically, they're going to be about 6 weeks out before you can do anything. But first and foremost, mindset. I want to make sure that you stay focused on a positive mindset. Cancer is not a death sentence anymore. They've done so much research. They've come so far in so many different things. Now, I'm not going to say that you're never going to die from cancer. That's stupid, to even think that. But just because you get diagnosed with breast cancer does not mean your life is over. So change your focus and your mindset. Focus on, okay, I need to control. I'm in control of my life. Not the doctors, not anybody else. I am in control of my life. And that's what I really try to educate and tell people is like, I help you take control of your life, to become the best version of yourself. And that focuses on mindset first. That is like your first pillar. It's like the foundation for anything, right? Having a positive mindset, because having that negative mindset in anything is going to affect your decision making. how you act, how you treat people, how you think. So really focusing on that mindset is first and foremost. And then second, I say do some research. Don't go down the dark tunnel of Dr. Google, but do some
Don't,
research.
you're not the doctor. Don't pretend like you have all these things. Yes, people do that, right?
Right.
Everyone's Googling and they're like, oh my God, okay, let's just,
Exactly. So that's why I created the free resource guide,
yeah.
is so people really understood, like, these are things that I thought of, or that I went through, that I knew when I went through my journey. And then third most important thing is immediately find a good support system. Find a good support system that's going to rock your world and be there for you no matter what. You have to keep in mind also that you mean, like I didn't process it right away, right? I was like, okay, Drew, go. And some people, like, they get sucked into, like, oh my God, okay, now what? And then they don't know how to move forward. But you have to keep in
Yeah.
mind, your loved ones don't know how to respond either. They don't know
Yeah,
how
for
to
sure.
react. And are they reacting to how you are? Or are they reacting because you just told them that you have cancer? So there's a lot of different factors, I feel like, that need to be considered. I lost friends during the process because they literally never would even call, and literally lived across the street, wouldn't even call and say, how are you? It was always be about them. And I was like, wow, okay. And that goes for spouses too. Like, men don't know how to process the shit. They don't.
So it's important to find a community that understands. Like I've said this multiple times that my mother's always like, wait, where did you find her from? I was like, my mom listens and, oh my God, sorry, one of those spams. And she's like, I said, Shannon, she's talking about breast cancer. I've never met her like before this, but she's from my friend Betsy. And I was like, anyone Betsy says, I'm like, they're golden. And she's like, now, how do you know Betsy again? And I was like, okay, Ma, you have to have different sets of communities and network because I'm sure, like you said, some people can't handle or hold space for you on your journey through cancer. Like not everyone could hold space for me on my journey through being a special needs mom. Like they can't, and that's no shade, like no harm, no foul. It's just like I like that you said, like find the community that supports you on where you are and going through your journey, and be okay with it not being, your best friend or your husband or a family member. It's okay if it's not. Some people just can't, like I said, hold that space for you when you need it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's
And
awesome. So can you? Mhm.
you froze. You froze, so I didn't know if you were talking or not. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, oh, I froze. Can you tell us where to find that free download? And I'll also include it for everyone on the post.
Yeah. So you can go to shannonburrows.com and then just scroll just a little bit and it'll say your free resource guide right here. Just go ahead and download that and grab a pen, print it out and jot down any questions you may have. I mean, I go into like essential items for the hospital, essential items for um your little recovery safe space kind of thing. And then I also have a free private breast cancer support group. So if anybody would like, to be involved in that, because they do need somebody, and we are into health and wellness, so it is important. It is an important factor because we want everyone to feel better. But it's a safe space. It's Breast Cancer Health and Wellness Group on Facebook, so you can find us there. And again, it is private. It's a safe space, so we try to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. I'll share that on the post. And before we end, because I could talk to you for hours, it's so interesting. What do you do for self-care? What are your practices?
So I exercise first thing in the morning because if it doesn't get done, it doesn't happen.
Mm.
I do, and I only do 30 minutes. So I do 30-minute hit. I focus on high intensity interval training because that's the best way metabolically for the body to get in shape and lose weight. I also do intermittent fasting. So I do a window of eating if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting. So I do a window of eating of pretty much like a 6 to 8 hour window of eating. I usually do my first meal around 1-ish, depending on calls or whatever. Sometimes I just forget. And so I do intermittent fasting, and I focus on really like a high protein, high healthy fat, and low carbs. Keep it simple. I do 2
Awesome.
meals. It's really simple. Like I keep my nutrition so simple and to the point. Like I just look at food as fuel for the body. That's it. I eat to fuel my body and boom, done. Like other than that, it gets in the way.
Yeah, I love it. Sometimes you just need simplicity in life to get things done, right? Right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me today on Beyond Small Talk. And if you have any questions for Shannon or check her out, her handle is at Shannon M. Burrows, and her website is Shannon Burrows, and I'll include it on the post. And if you want to listen to this episode again, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible. Check us out there. Do us a girl a favor, download and like us. Thank you again, Shannon. This was just
Thank you for
awesome.
having
Thank
me.
you
It was
so
such a
much.
pleasure to talk to you.
You too. Thank you. I hope we talk again. And thank you everyone for joining Beyond Small Talk every Thursday at the 4 o'clock hour. See you next week. Bye.